Tighten Up, the podcast, is brought to you by Hyperice, the leading provider of innovative technology for recovery, mobility, and improved performance. They help the Titans. They can help you too. Learn more online at hyperice.com.
This is Legend Jeter. Let's tighten up.
Detroit, it's time to tighten up. Welcome to Tighten Up, the podcast, presented by The Shield NIL. Brought to you by Hyperice and Last Shot Energy. A state of the Titans, the latest in Detroit Mercy athletics, and a chance to hear from Titans all over the world. Here's your host, Dan Hasty.
It has been a busy last couple of weeks here on Tighten Up. Hi, everybody, and welcome another installment of your favorite Detroit Mercy Titans podcast. Glad to have you along with us, and this one becomes a family affair. We get a chance to celebrate. We actually just did something kind of similar because on our last episodes, you got a chance to hear from Ryan Calambay and his brother, Dylan. What a cool story that was to get a chance to hear about something that became so much bigger than basketball and learning about all the adversity that the Calambays as a family went through to get where they are today and everything that has made it so special for them to get to the places that they've gotten to collectively. Well, some more people have joined us on this edition of Tighten Up, and special doesn't even begin to describe what has happened to this family. And this one, we've done a lot of talking to current Detroit Mercy players. Well, this time we get a chance to go a little bit off script. We get a chance to get a Detroit Mercy men's basketball coach, and we get a chance to do a little preview of the future of Detroit Mercy men's basketball. And if you know men's basketball, I think you know where I am going with this. So without further ado, I am so excited to be able to bring in our next guest here on this edition of Tighten Up. First and foremost, we bring in the assistant coach of Detroit Mercy basketball, and that is the one and only LaMonta Stone is in the building for the first time on Tighten Up. That's right. It's a standing O for LaMonta Stone. Good to see you, my man.
Oh, great to see you. Great to be here.
We've been waiting a long time to get you on this show, and we've had Monty on this show before. We've had you on this show before. Thank you very much for joining us. And now we need to get to another one of our guests of honor for this game and for this Tighten Up the podcast. He is Mr. PSL himself, and he is now the sole owner of the most assists by any high school basketball player in the state of Michigan in a career in high school basketball. Lance Stone, the future Detroit Mercy Titan, is here as well. Lance, welcome not only to Tighten Up the podcast, but also welcome to Detroit Mercy basketball. Good to have you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
This is a big deal to be able to get you. We've been looking forward to having you here for a long time now. LaMonta, I'll start with you because I know I can just see on your face you've got Proud Papa syndrome written all over it. So, just tell me what it has been like for you to watch Lance take these steps forward in his career.
It's just a affirmation of the hard work that he's put in over the years. He's been, he's born into a basketball family. And, from the time he started walking, he had a basketball in his hand. And, so to see each step that he's made along the way, it's just, I always tell Lance and all the guys that I coach, hard work pays off. And, he's just a testament of the hard work is paying off.
And Lance, for you, now you got that record. And before I get into what it felt like, because I got a feeling I know how it felt, tell me about getting the record, the moment that you got it. What do you remember?
When they told me, well, I didn't even know I was close until they randomly told me I was 30 assists away. I was like, for real? I didn't believe it at first. Cause I was like, oh, I didn't even know. Like, through 4 years of high school, I would never think I got that many assists. I'm just playing. And then I was 30 assists, so I was like, all right, I got to get assists. So I'm looking to pass. My coach was telling me to get the assist. And when it came down to the one assist away, I was counting in my head. So I knew what pass was going to be the one assist. And as soon as I passed it, I knew it was the one assist. So it was really exciting. And to get to know that my name's going to be in the books, that's really a great thing to have.
So, Lance, you really didn't know how many assists you had up to a certain point?
No, I didn't know.
Huh. So that was just as far as you were concerned. That's just the way you play.
Yeah, I just go out there and play. I was just playing.
LaMonta, that's got to be music to your ears.
Yeah, it's funny how it all worked out. You know, I'm always in the going over the Michigan High School Athletic Association records and all that. I'm a historian when it comes to high school basketball in the state. So one day I saw that the assist records, and I saw it was 803. And I didn't know where Land's number was, but I knew he probably had 200 assists each year. You know, he's been playing as a freshman, and as a freshman, you know, he probably passed the ball more than he scored. He's playing with older kids, but he's been a point guard on the team since he's been a freshman. So I figured, you know, if he had 200 assists each year, even as a freshman, if you had 150, you know, I kind of started doing the math in my head. So I called his coach one day and say, hey, you know what? I think Lance may be close to, you know, breaking this assist record. So they went back through the books and started, you know, figuring out themselves. And I think when he was 150 away, he told me, I think Lance is about 150 away. And I don't know if that was early in the season or before the season. But, of course, we didn't tell Lance that. And then once he got close to, you know, breaking the record, when he got 30 away, it kind of hit social media. And once it hit social media, it was just a matter of time. I think once he hit 30 away, I think he did in 2 games.
Lance, would you have wanted to know when you were like 150 assists out, or are you glad you found out when you found out?
Nah, I'm probably glad that I found out when I found out, because I think, well, I know when I was told I got 30 assists, I was trying to break it as quick as possible. So I was out there trying to get my assist up. So, yeah, I'm happy I found out when I found out.
How many assists did you have in the games after you found out how close you were?
Oh, when I found out the next game, I had 16. In the game after that, what was that, 14? After the 16 and 14.
So, I mean, you've always been, and I hate to put labels on players, so I don't want to say you're a pass-first point guard, because I think that's just painting with too broad of a brush. But when you started out, your dad even said you were playing with guys so much older than you, so clearly you were trying to help other guys kind of, and you were running an offense and helping it run through other players. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. So if that's the case, how did you advance your scoring role, but yet keep your passing role the same as the seasons have gone on?
By just taking what the defense gives me. So really, freshman year, I would say more pass, get guys involved. Because that's just how the offense went. But as I got older, I was like, I can score the ball more. So I think sophomore year, junior year, I broke out, like, scoring-wise. I think last year I averaged like 25, 24 points. So then guys started to take away. That would be team's whole motto: don't let me score. So I'm like, all right, I'll just take what you give me. So here goes the assist.
What did they start giving you first? What was the first thing that they gave you? Tighten Up is brought to you by Last Shot Premium Hydration, the official hydration drink of Tighten Up, the podcast. Their revolutionary formula is jam-packed with vitamin B12 and 0 grams of sugar. It helps the Titans hydrate, replenish, and recover. Try it at Callahan Hall during a Titans game, or learn more at lastshotofficial.com.
At first, it was really just me one-on-one with my man. Like, nobody knew what I could do. but me. So it was 1-on-1. So 1-on-1, it just go. And then as the season started going on, I started to get double teams, triple teams, everybody sitting in the paint. So I was like, if you're going to do that, my teammate's good enough, we're going to win this way.
And LaMonta, I would imagine that once you were seeing it, because I know that you've been at so many of these games, those double, those triple teams, those can be frustrating. And that's when the dad and the coach kind of become one and the same. So what do you do to try and help in that situation? How do you kind of blend those two things together?
I always taught Lance to play the game the right way. You know what I mean? And our motto is you want to be a point guard that guys want to play with, and not the point guard where everyone says, no, I don't want to play with Lance. So he was taught to always play the game the right way. That's whether they're scoring the ball or making the extra pass. And, I think after that freshman year, he did a pretty good job at it. You go to games now and, teams are planning with a man and a half or almost two guys. So I thought, you look back on it now, it makes sense that he has a ton of assists every game. Well, I always tell him, though, you can't just, you still have to attack the basket because you're getting the assists because you're attacking. So he's still, I think his scoring is down a little bit this year, but he's still scoring over 20 points a game with a double figure assists. And I just think that's the testament of him controlling the game and his coach, John White, allowing him to control the game and technically be a coach on the floor.
The idea that your scoring is down in quotations and you're still over 20 points a game is objectively hilarious. And by the way, for those of you who are just now meeting Lance for the first time, Lance is the highest rated player from the state to sign with Detroit Mercy out of high school since Ray McCallum Jr. back in 2010, as well as the first ever Detroit Mr. PSL to ink with Detroit Mercy out of high school. So, Lance, take me through the college situation and kind of how everything transpired for you and ultimately who was in the mix and what led you to Detroit Mercy. I have a feeling that part of the reason that you're here is because of the person who is also joining us on this chat.
Yeah, so at first, my dad didn't get the Detroit Mercy job until late. So my dad was at Eastern Michigan at first. So we was just playing recruitment by ear, listening to every school. And then when my dad got the Detroit Mercy job, it was like, oh, this right here. Like, I'm 5 minutes from my school. I'm right at home. And then we knew Coach Montgomery had the head coaching job. And I've known Coach Montgomery for a long time. Like, he was talking to me when he was at Michigan State. He would come to my AAU games. He would be at a couple high school games. So it was like, it's like the relationship already there. So Detroit Mercy, yeah.
What do you remember about the first time you met Monty?
First time I met him, I'm pretty sure we were in, I think he came to a game in Las Vegas. Yeah, it was Las Vegas. And, oh, no. I went on the Michigan State visit. It was for the Midnight Madness. And they had all the recruits there. But all the recruits would go straight to the stands. But Coach Monty came and grabbed me and my dad, and we went to, like, their VIP room, and it was me and Jace Richardson kids. So, like, we got, like, the special treatment in their VIP room, and then we got front row tickets to their Midnight Madness. So, yeah, that was my first time meeting them. But I always heard about them before.
So you also are good with Jason Richardson's kids, too, huh?
Yeah, I had a conversation with them.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Jason Richardson, for some of us who saw that title run back in 2000, Jason Richardson was a big part, and he was the high flyer on that Tom Izzo team during the 2000 run. LaMonta, take me back to your relationship with Monty, because, when he was putting together his staff, you were somebody that was pretty clear, that was pretty important to him to make sure he had.
Yeah, we're both downriver guys by heart. He's from Inkster, and I'm a River Rouge guy. I'm a little older, but we kind of played in the same era. Southgate Aquinas and River Rouge during that time were some of the premier, two of the premier programs when we were in school in that area. And then once we both got into coaching right around the same time, it's funny, our coaching path kind of mirrored each other. He started at Central Michigan when I was at Eastern Michigan. He goes to he goes to Michigan State, and I go to Ohio State. And then he gets the head job in Northern Illinois, and I go to Bowling Green as assistant. So we're always not against each other, but we were always, in the same circle, but not working together. So when he got the job here in Detroit, it's funny story. I'll give you a story. He called me when he thought he was going to get it. He wasn't 100% sure, but he told me he was in the running, and would I be interested in coming over? And I told him, sure. Chance to get back in the city. At this point in my career, I love to come back in the city. So he got the job, and he calls me and said, I got the job. You coming? So I told him, let's do this the right way. Let's call Stan. So we called Stan, and he told Stan Heath.
Stan Heath, who's the head coach at Eastern Michigan.
Head coach at Eastern, who's also a Michigan State guy. He said, Stan, of course, I just got this job, and I want to hire LaMonta. And Stan told him, you can't hire LaMonta. So I guess they had a conversation, and just the total package that Monty was able to present, and the fact that being back here in the city and coming full circle, where at this stage of my career, I'm back in Detroit. I mean, it's just a situation where I couldn't refuse it.
Yeah, Monty's got a way of being convincing, doesn't he? So, and it's so funny because we've had Orlando on the podcast, and we had him, and I remember talking to him about one of our conversations when Orlando was announced as being in the transfer portal. And I remember even thinking when Detroit Mercy played against him as a member of Eastern Michigan a couple of years ago, and rarely do you have this thought about an opposing player. But I remember just thinking, reading all the stuff about him, I finally said, how is this guy not on our team? And so I remember seeing his name pop up as a transfer portal. And I remember saying to you, I said, hey, check this out. And I knew what you were going to say, but I didn't expect it to go as far as you did. And I remember you saying, yeah, he called me as soon as he put his name in the portal. And I'm just dying to hear what that conversation was like, because clearly it led to the most important figure on this version of this team being here.
Yeah, I mean, it was really a straightforward conversation. I mean, he told me he was putting his name in the portal maybe a day or so before he did it. And then when he did it, he called me and said, hey, he didn't say he was coming. He said, me and Legend coming. You're not leaving me and Legend here. So, and of course, I coached Legend in high school, so that was almost a no-brainer. But Orlando's same as me. He's a Detroit kid, through and through. His whole family comes to the games. I mean, he has a corner of the gym that's just the Orlando Lovejoy section. And I just think is all the things that represent this community and Detroit Mercy and Detroit Mercy athletics and basketball. That's what Orlando is. That's who he is as a kid.
And Lance, what do you know about those guys, Orlando and Legend?
Orlando, I tell him every time I see him, he ran from me my freshman year. We had him on the schedule was game of the year, and he went to prep school a week or two right before we played him. So I tell him every time he was scared to play me, and that was my first high school game. So, and I ended up hitting the game winner with like 8 seconds left in that game, a mid-range pull-up. So I tell him every time, like, he failed his team, he ran. And then Legend, I've known him since, I think my dad had the job when I was in like elementary school. So I've known him like half my life almost. So it's cool to be like, oh, we can be on the same team next year. I've been watching you this whole time.
And
So, yeah.
And to Orlando's credit, he will still not have to play you. So props to
Yeah.
Orlando. He's finding ways to not have to play you. I mean, he was going to have to play in practice a little bit, but other than that, should be all right.
Yeah.
So, Lance, how familiar are you with Callahan Hall?
I'm very familiar. Like, I know all the big names that's been through there. I've been to multiple games up there when Antoine Davis playing there. So I've had a couple games at Callahan Hall myself. So yeah, I'm very familiar, and I'd be there all the time, like right now. So yeah.
We've had Antoine on this show not too long ago. What do you remember about watching him?
I just remember like being in awe every time I'm watching like the shots he make. But then I would be at their practices too. So like I would see like what would go into it. Like I'm pretty sure he would get like 1,000 shots of the day. Mm-hmm. So like, and they would be like, oh, tough, hard shots. So I saw it, and I saw it in the game, and I was like, this really translates.
The only reason I ask is because for those who don't know about Lance, are you 5'9" or 5'10"?
I'd go with 5'9".
All right, we'll go with 5'9". So tell me how you've been able to use that to your advantage.
Really, I'm smaller than people, so really my quickness, I use that to my advantage. Like I'm smaller, so I'm taking up. I can get to the little spaces. I can split the traps, and then on defense, like I can get under you, and I'm quicker, faster. So really, I use it to my height to an advantage more than a disadvantage than people think it is. Really, I use it to an advantage.
And LaMonta, to that point, you've got to be as curious as you are excited at the prospect of watching Lance and someone like Orlando and how those two would play off one another because of just how those two skill sets would mesh.
Yeah, and I'm glad. It's the same way when Lance went to Renaissance as a freshman. He had a senior guard, Jawan Maxey, who's actually now at Youngstown State, that kind of mentored him and kind of he was able to play off of. It'll be the same way here with Orlando. You know, you always want an older guy to kind of mentor the young freshmen coming in, and him and Orlando have a great relationship. Orlando actually says, "I wish Lance was here right now." He always says that. So I can't wait. I mean, Lance has a skill set that we're missing. He's a really good perimeter shooting. We definitely need more perimeter shooting, and he's a really good passer. And if you look in our games, we need more passing. We need more easy baskets for our guys. And Lance will set guys up for easier baskets.
Lance, how much trouble are you going to get in if you make flashier passes than like fundamental passes? Because I think people like the Showtime kind of basketball passes. Just saying.
I don't know. I don't think I'm getting any trouble because that's what they signed up for when they brought me. So I've been doing that my whole life.
Is that all right with you, Dad?
Yeah, as long as it's not a turnover, it's okay with me. If the flashy pass become a turnover, then we got issues.
Lance, tell me a little bit about what some of the things that you've done around the area. Because, I mean, you're a Detroit kid. I mean, you're Mr. PSL. You know this area. And one of the cool things about the way this roster is now set up, and this has been something that just hasn't been the case for a while now, is that it is so born and bred in the state of Michigan, and so specifically to the Detroit and the Metro Detroit area. And you are now so much going to become a part of that fabric. But to know the area is such a huge advantage for you. So tell me a little bit about this area and what it means to you.
It's a great area. Like it breeds like a lot of basketball players, a lot of great people, like the great people that's come from the Detroit city, the Detroit area. So yeah, and then what I put into the area myself, I go lift at Super Bad Boxing Gym with a boxer named LJ Harrison. Tony Harrison's brother. Tony Harrison got a lot of belts. He was a world champion, I'm pretty sure, in boxing. So I go lift with him not during basketball season, 6 in the morning, after basketball season, before basketball season, after school. So, during Thanksgiving, we get back to the community, we pass out turkeys right there on like 2 minutes from the school on Puritan in Wisconsin. So,
And how often have you done that?
2 years.
That's really, really cool. And well, how does that go? Tell me how that goes for you guys.
It'd be me, it'd be a whole bunch of kids like in the city we all basketball players. And it'd be some boxes there too. And we make it a fun little thing to pass out the turkeys, like who can give out the most turkeys, who can get the conversation out of the people. So it's fun. We make it a fun little thing.
That's really cool. And, just for those of you listening to this, that also falls during basketball season. So if there's a chance that you have some community initiatives that you'd like to put on to help brighten the days of the Detroit community, you can go to theshieldnil.org, and in the years ahead, you can help continue that mission for people like Lance and for his teammates, and you can help them deliver those turkeys, whether it be at Thanksgiving or at Christmas or at any time of the basketball calendar year. Maybe we check with the assistant coaches, maybe we check with Monty just to make sure we can do it on their schedule. So, all right. So, LaMonta, as this all comes together in terms of, you get Lance, there's also a couple of other pieces that you guys are working to put together. Tell me about the rest of the recruiting class, at least as far as who you already have signed.
Well, we have Jaquel Cotton as well as Lance. Jaquel's a 6'7" kid that also solves one of our issues right now. He's a really good perimeter shooter at 6'6", 6'7". So a really good size that can shoot the ball well. He plays at Lima Senior High School right now. I think Lima's 19-1, 18-1. A really good program. Always won a traditional top 5, top 10 programs in the state of Ohio. So a kid that's coming from a really good program, has a pedigree of winning, and a really tough, hard-nosed program. Lance knows Jaquel. Lance knows Jaquel's coach. Jaquel's coach at Lima Senior is Xavier Simpson's dad. Simpson that played at Michigan.
Sure.
And Xavier was here last season playing for the G League. So he spent a little time with Lance, but Xavier is close to our family. So it's really a relationship thing that took place there. And we'll probably have another 4 or 5 scholarship offers to give. You never know with this portal, the new day of basketball recruiting, and we need to probably bring in size. It's good that we went through this conference now. We played every team once, I think, except for Green Bay. So we got a feel for the conference now. So we kind of know what it takes to win this conference and what type of players we need to win this conference. And our goal is high. We're not here to rebuild. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to fight this cold off. But our job is not here to rebuild. We want to get this thing going, and we want to get it going as quick as we can. And we were on the fast track this year. I mean, we had won 6 games early in this season. Then the injuries hit us, and it hit us hard. So we were on the fast track this year, but because of the injuries, it set us back. But we'll get this thing going next year with Lance and Jaquel and 4 or 5 other recruits that we bring in.
By the way, I think everybody's fighting something right now, like everyone's sick, so don't feel bad. But to your point, I thought you guys had some real depth at the beginning of the season. But if any team has tested that theory, it's been you guys. I mean, you guys have just gone all the way down and through that. And, over the last couple of shows, our last 3 shows, we have had Nate Johnson, Ryan Calambay, and TJ Nadeau. And those are the only 3 players on the entire roster who have been available and played in every single game this year. I mean, there's been so many total games lost due to injury. So,
and the thing that really hurt us is it was the older guys that were getting injured. It's not like it was the freshmen that were getting injured. The older guys who we were relying on and counting on this year. So when those guys went down, I mean, one game we started 5 freshmen, and that's almost unheard of in today's world of college basketball.
Yeah, it's got our own little mini version of the Fab Five going on over here.
I call them the adolescent 25.
The adolescent 25.
There's a class of 25.
25. Lance, how's your season going at Renaissance?
It's going good. You know, we just actually won the PSL Division Championship yesterday. We're going 8-0. So it's going good going into the city playoffs. We have one more regular season game, and then city playoffs start, state playoffs. So it's going pretty good. We accomplished one goal. Now we got 2 more to go.
Well done. That's big time. Now, I know you've had a very decorated high school career. I mean, you've been able to accomplish a lot of those things. Is there anything from a team standpoint that really is at the top of your list this year? I think I know where this is going, but tell me.
Oh, definitely the Cavs game. We came in, beat Cavs by 30 and had 100 points. That was like a statement game from last year. We lost in the city championship game by 2. So that might be the biggest moment out of like my whole high school career. I wanted that game bad.
You going to get another chance at them this year?
If they make it, it's all up to them. They gonna have to see us.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
What was it like getting PSL and Mr. PSL? I mean, that's a pretty big honor.
Yeah, it was pretty big honor to be up there with those names. Like the people that won Mr. PSL, they've done great things in their life, either basketball or went on to do anything else. Like they've done great things. So to be up there on that list, it was a great feeling, great accomplishment.
Did you hear from anybody cool after you ended up winning that award?
Yes, I heard from oh my God, I'm drawing a blank.
Sada baby.
Oh yeah, Sada baby. Yeah, Sada baby congratulated me, the Detroit rapper. So he congratulated me on winning. So that was pretty cool. And then multiple other people congratulated me. So to feel all the love, it was a great thing.
So when you got the chance, and I know that there was a couple of other options for you, and I know obviously there's a big tie-in with the city of Detroit and being able to play close to home, but you know, you had options to go different places, but this is such a important place for you because you're so familiar with it. And like you said, you sat in the stands and you watched Antoine Davis make a big impact here. And there's a real chance that you could be the next in line. You could be somebody that when it's all said and done has a similar impact on this program when all the dust settles. What do you hope that your career looks like? What do you hope in your mind's eye that this all looks like?
Really, I got one goal. I want to win a championship, the Horizon League championship. That's really my goal. I just want to win. The individual stats, that's cool and stuff, but winning, that's the best thing in the world.
LaMonta, it is hard in this game to find guys, to find kids, to find players that say individual stats are fine, I just want to win. Because being able to embrace whatever the role looks like, just as long as they win, is so important nowadays. And to be able to get somebody who just knows that if they do the right things, the numbers will follow. It's got to be cool for you. I mean, as a coach, sure. But as a dad, you got to be pretty pumped to hear something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's funny because as a kid, you think, I take him to the gym and he would watch us, my high school teams practice and the college teams practice. So you think he just run around and playing in the stands. But, he's probably listening and gathering information and understanding in his own little way, and particularly at River Rouge, when I coached high school, our whole thing was about winning state championship every year. It wasn't about individual goals. It wasn't about, first team all state or anything. It was about winning a state championship. And when you win a state championship, everyone's name is on that state championship trophy. So that's all he's heard since day one. It's all about winning and it's all about championships. And you win a championship, everyone's successful on that team.
Lance, how are you preparing now
To be next year, I'm in the gym every day. I'm finishing the season, and then after the season, weight room. I'd be back in the weight room every day, and I don't know. I gotta talk to the coaches at UD about me running track or not to stay in shape. But I ran track last year. My dad didn't want me to, but I did it anyway. But I gotta talk to them, see if that's cool with them. And yeah, track helped me stay in shape, help keep my quickness, get faster. So that's what I'll be doing.
The funny thing about Lance is, everyone talks about him on the basketball court, but he was number one cross country runner in the city as a junior. And then this season as a senior, he didn't take it as serious, but he was the number one cross country runner. And then on the track team, he's one of the best half milers in the city. So, he kind of does it all. And I'm a dad that said, okay, but you got to get ready for basketball. He says, but Dad, I want to do this. My coaches expect me to do this.
He didn't want me to run track last year because I was running track and playing AU at the same time. He didn't think I could do it, but I was like, I could do it. So I ran every track meet I could, and I was still playing AU on the weekends. I would have a track meet. Track meets are Tuesday and Thursday. I'll have a track meet, go to practice right after the track meet, leave Friday, play Saturday, or play Friday night.
I just thought he was wearing himself out, but, 16, 17-year-old kid, I guess, I'm thinking of it as a 50-year-old.
I'll tell you what, Guy Murray is the head coach of the track and field team, and if he's a listener to this show, I think it's only a matter of time until that phone starts to ring. What have you participated in? What are your events? You mentioned, LaMonta, the half mile. What do you participate in?
Oh, I'm like what they call in football the Swiss Army knife. I do everything. I run the 100, the 200, the 400, the 800. I run every single relay. Whatever my coach tells me to run, I go out there and do it. Like I can sprint, and then I got stamina. But probably my best is the 400 and the 800. But I can sprint too, 100, 200, really whatever my coach needs at that time.
And you were also the top cross country runner at one point.
Yeah.
But see, that's endurance. I would imagine that that's kind of monotonous after a while. That's probably why you kind of got away from that, right?
I don't know.
Is that boring? I'm just trying to figure out what cross country, how that becomes exciting in track and field. I can see why the 400, the 800, I can see how that's fun. Cross country, though, that's a marathon, not a sprint, literally.
Yeah.
Let me let you know a secret. Me as a coach, I always made, particularly in high school, I always made my guys that weren't playing football run cross country. The thing that I like about the individual sports, I don't care if it's tennis, swimming, soccer, track, cross country, the individual sports I think builds character within yourself. Because you can't blame your coach, you can't blame your teammates, you can't blame anyone but yourself in those individual sports. So, as much as I, get on him about running those things, I particularly cross country, I kind of like them running cross country. Because if you can run 3.1 miles and win a race of, some of those races over 200 kids. I just think that builds something inside you.
Well, Lance, it's interesting because, not only are you now in your fourth year as a point guard at Renaissance, right? 4 years now.
Yeah.
So not only have you been starting as a point guard for 4 years at Renaissance, but you're coming in next year into a situation where you've got 4 years of high school starting point guard experience, but you're also going to come in as the son of a coach on the staff. And there's a couple dynamics that come along with that. And having seen Antoine Davis over the course of 5 years, there's a few different things that come along with that I'm really curious to see how you navigate. So when it comes to, you've already done 4 years, even if you're a freshman, you've probably already learned how to grow up in an offense, and now you're a leader. You obviously were learning as a freshman, and now you're leading that group at Renaissance. So what have you learned about leading a group from then to now?
I learned that like if you're the one that people look at, you got to set that example. They go as far as you go. So if you're the one that got to bring on the energy every day, every single day in practice, every game day, like really, I learned that the pre-games, before games, is really just as important as when the game is played. If the vibes are low, like energy low pre-game, that's probably how the game's gonna start. But I'll be the guy. I'm always on the music, so I'll be the guy to get everybody going, listen to music, stretching. Like I'll be the one to hit everybody in the chest, hit everybody on the shoulder, be like, let's go, let's get started. So I'm really I'm bringing the energy to my team. That's what I learned as a leader. Like you gotta have that energy before the game even starts.
Can a freshman be a leader on a team?
Anybody can be a leader, of course.
So the father-son dynamic, sometimes that can be great. I mean, we saw so many great things come from it when Antoine was here. Sometimes it was also a challenge. Sometimes it could also be tough. So how do you navigate the father-son and just trying to make sure that, when guys are looking at Lance seeing, getting an earful from dad, that nobody thinks dad's giving him special treatment?
I already have a relationship with all the guys, so they pretty much, I'm pretty sure they would know, they would probably think I get it worse than any of them, actually.
Isn't that funny how that works? That's usually how it is, isn't it?
Yeah,
I always thought as a coach, and you're coaching your kids, or I see some of my buddies who coaching their kid, either a kid had to be one of the better players on the team, or they had to be the worst player on the team. There can't be any middle ground there. If there's middle ground, that's when the issues come. So hopefully Lance will be one of the better guys on the team.
Well, what do you want for the rest of your season at Renaissance? What are you hoping for to get out of this before you finish your high school career?
We gotta win the city championship. That's what's coming up. That's big coming up to us. We lost. Actually, what's funny is every year we taking a step closer. So freshman year, we lost in the first round to King. Sophomore year, lost in the semifinals lost in the quarterfinals to Cass. Junior year, we lost in the city championship to Cass, and now we're the first seed going to senior year with a bye, and looking to revenge our last year we lost in the city championship. So got to win the city championship.
Man, if you guys get a chance at Cass, I'm going to have to get out there myself because I ain't going to miss that one, man. That's going to be too good to pass up. LaMonta, what are you hoping for the rest of the way? I mean, I was just talking to Ryan about this the other day, and the way that it shakes out the rest of the way on the schedule, and about this, and this is going to be the way it is next year too. You got a young core. It's a young nucleus, and it's going to still be young next year. But the thing about young cores is that they have this tendency to get better as the season goes on. And what's funny is that they got off to that hot start, and then, of course, you get ravaged by injuries. But I think it's totally within the realm of possibilities that they finish this season with a handful of victories. So tell me what you kind of hope you can see, or what you're looking forward to here as we get down the stretch.
Like I say, we played everyone in our conference except for Green Bay. I think Green Bay is up under us, but maybe. So if we could get, technically on paper, if we can get 2 wins at playing Green Bay, that'll give us 8 wins on the season and grab a couple, 3 or 4 more wins. The goal is to get in the double figures, get in the double figure win column. And I think we could do that, off the year we've had with injuries and playing as many freshmen as we had. I think that's a successful season coming off of a campaign where the team won 1 game last year. So the goal is to, get in that double figure win column. and we're really looking forward to next year. I mean, with Lance and Jaquel coming in, and we're gonna get a little older. With the scholarships we have left, we're gonna get in the portal and maybe look at some junior college kids. But we're gonna get this thing going, and we're gonna fight for championships. Lance said he want to win a Horizon League championship. We're not trying to do that 3 or 4 years from now. We're trying to do that as soon as next year.
It's amazing how fast, especially in today's day and age, that can happen in college basketball and in college athletics in general. Are you a decent alley-oop thrower? Is that your best kind of assist? I mean, what is your bread and butter play to rack up assists, Lance?
Really in high school right now. Well, really high school. Yeah, high school. I would say it's the one more pass to the corner as I drive. The corner they have to help or I'm scoring. So that's where I get most of my assists from right now. And then AAU, I'm playing with superior athletes on my team. It'd be a lot of alley-oops. So yeah.
Okay. So there's the shopping list right there, LaMonta. Get somebody who can throw down the oops and get a few more guys who can hit corner threes. And then Lance will be hitting as many assists now as he is as a high schooler. Guys, this has been phenomenal. I can't thank you both enough. Again, a chance to get a little bit of a taste of not only the Titans of right now, but the Titans of years to come. LaMonta Stone, assistant coach at Detroit Mercy basketball, and Lance Stone, Mr. PSL himself, and the new record holder for career assist in all of the history of Michigan high school basketball. LaMonta, Lance, thank you both very much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having us. I mean, this was great. Really enjoyed ourselves.
Thank you.
And those are the Stones, the family stone, if you will, here on the Tighten Up podcast. And that's going to do it for this episode here on Tighten Up. Again, the way you can help out is to go to theshieldnil.org. You heard about those opportunities in and around the Detroit community. If you yourself put on any of those local initiatives, if you like to give away or to do anything to help out around the holidays, use Detroit Mercy student athletes to do that. You can go to theshieldnil.org and you can use them to do something like that. And it's a win-win on so many different fronts. It's going to do it for today's show. You don't forget, find The Shield on X at The Shield NIL. They're also the same handle on Instagram. You can find me there as well. On X at that Dan Hasty and on Instagram at Dan Hasty. That's going to do it here for this edition of Tighten Up the podcast. Again, one last big thanks to LaMonta Stone, assistant coach of Detroit Mercy basketball, and to Lance Stone, the incoming recruit, one of the biggest names to come into Detroit Mercy in quite some time. It's going to be a whole lot of fun watching Lance in years to come as a member of the Titans. That's going to do it. We'll talk to you on the next episode of Tighten Up. And until then, I'll talk to all you Titans of industry next time.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Tighten Up, the podcast. Join our community at The Shield on theshieldnil.org and follow us on X and Instagram at The Shield NIL.
If I can tell you one thing above all else as part of this show, it would be this. If you're unfamiliar, if you haven't done it before, join the community at The Shield Online. It's online at theshieldnil.org. That's theshieldnil.org.